Forge is an iconic X-Men character. Maybe not on the same level as characters like Wolverine, Storm, or even Nightcrawler, but I would argue on the same tier as characters like Banshee, Bishop, and Psylocke. Maybe not B tier, but A- tier. B plus tier. Like somewhere in that range. He's known for his technological mindset, robotic parts, magical abilities, being one of the few superheroes of Native American descent, having a relationship with Storm, his fabulous mustache, and the reason for today's video, his booty shorts. Now this is a bit of a meme both inside and outside the comics. He would make his first appearance in Uncanny X-Men issue 184 from 1984, and would play a rather large role in issues to come, surrounding him making mutant dampeners for Val Cooper, as well as being a pretty big part of the life-death storyline surrounding Storm, like he was on the 97 TV show. We also have a video on Val Cooper if you're interested. The link card crap thing should be appearing in the corner, unless I forget, which is very plausible knowing me. But I'll try not to. I would recommend it. It's a pretty good video. I say that as if it wasn't my own and I'm not a biased opinion. The character would start off in this very panel of this arc in these prideful booty shorts. It is glorious that this is the character's first introduction. Though the government had actually had to contract Forge because Tony Stark had refused to make any more weapons and any involvement in mutant depowering, both for moral reasons as well as just simply being friends with mutant characters. Points to Iron Man on that one. Also, what are your thoughts on depowering mutants in the Marvel Universe? I think the idea of depowering collars around mutants who are dangerous in prisons makes sense. But for an actual cure, which they also do in the comics, I think, like what Storm says, it's excessive. And personally violating. Because even though, yes, the mutants can be dangerous, doesn't mean they are going to be. I mean, it has nothing to do with the actual video itself. I just really want to know what's your opinion on it, because I've seen both people say that why are the X-Men upset about it? It's necessary for characters like Magneto, but other people say that they get why the X-Men will be upset about it, because, well, they're depowering people that don't really pose a threat. I think the collars make sense, but the actual permanent cures to depower mutants are not necessary. Anyways, back to Forge. I just went on a really weird rant there. Forge would continue to rock these booty shorts in many issues following. In fact, nearly the entire time in the Storm and Forge romance plot in Life Death, he was sporting these shorts. 97 did keep him in shorts, but they were not as nearly as iconic as the ones in these comics, although these ones look a lot more comfortable. The character's evolved a lot in the years, and in those years, his booty shorts for the most part have been dropped. You will see them occasionally for references or just a simple callback joke, but they're not coming back. And to be honest, I don't care. I'm not pleading for the return of the booty shorts for Forge, just find it funny for their inclusion in his early years. But it's not something that really does matter all that much. I mean, I do think that there are some people that would think that the character having booty shorts would be a nice touch as a callback to the character from the initial appearance he was in, and initial arc he was a part of, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. Now, if you're wondering why the hell am I making this video, it's because this in itself is a bit of a meme within comic book fans, and especially fans of X-Men and X-Men of this era. Now, the artist is Dan Green, who is, by the way, a great artist, and is known for making some pretty bold choices with the character designs. And the artistic choice of having the character of Forge in these short shorts, while unclear, I did find a few theories online as to why it could be the case. So let's go over them real quick. Number 1, for the jokes. The character of Forge started off with a pretty serious attitude, therefore to add a touch of personality to his wardrobe for irony's sakes. Might have been an intentional joke based on that it's funny how this series' bad ASS guy likes his booty shorts. He likes his shorts tight and short, which I do think is plausible. Number 2, for commentary. You see in the 80s and later 90s, the sexualization of female characters became more prevalent in recent years opposed to how it used to be, due to loosening of the comics code. Sexy characters is nothing new, and sexualization of characters is also nothing new in comics. In fact, it's a pretty big part of comics. However, at this point, it was really only done to female characters. Therefore, something that might have been done as an intentional joke to reverse that and show it done with a male character, hence Forge. The character also has some pretty let's say, sexy poses in these few issues that can perhaps imply that it is an intentional joke. I'm trying my best to not get demonetized with what I say, but the character does appear to have some pretty sexual posing and positions and just overall body presence, similar to the female characters of this era. Therefore, I do think it is very plausible that the idea that the character was intended to be a commentary or just simply a joke based on said commentary about the sexualization of characters, primarily female characters, is highly plausible. Also, I want to say that I'm not saying that sexualization of characters is bad, and that fictional characters can of course be depicted as having pride or just simply wanting to be more comfortable or just simply liking more revealing clothing. Because, like in our real world, people have different preferences of clothing, and we shouldn't shame them for that. Although some would argue that female characters are often over-sexualized, with boob windows and sometimes hardly anything on, especially in the 90s and 80s. Well, especially in the 90s. Which has been viewed by some as being sexist. Now, I'm not a woman, so I can't say if it is or not, because it's not my place to. However, I can say, as a bisexual man, I can definitely detest that female characters are by far more sexualized than male characters. Because when you're attracted to both, you can really tell which one is which. And that being not an equal amount of sexiness on both sides. I do think it's certainly getting better as time has gone on, with male characters also being portrayed as sexual. For me personally, I think it just matters which character it is. Because certain characters, I think it's very in character for them to be this confident, wanting to show off what they got. For example, both characters like Nightwing and Power Girl are very sexually active characters who are very sexual and confident in their own bodies, as well as simply just having pride in themselves. So personally, I think it's very in character for both characters who simply like revealing clothing or simply like tight clothing like Nightwing, or to be sexualized as they are. However, there are some characters I don't think it works for or doesn't make sense for. For example, Invisible Woman had an entire arc about her having a sexualized outfit. Which, well, I'm not saying of course she can't, but it does feel a little out of character for the character of Sue Storm. Which it also is later revealed that she's being possessed by like a demon, but never mind that. The costume itself is also just really ugly, and I think that is also a pretty big thing that is important. Does it work with the costume? With Power Girl and Nightwing, I think it works very well with their costumes. But for Invisible Woman, just simply like cut out a hole in her chest, it doesn't work. Especially when Mr. Fantastic and Human Torch aren't doing the same thing. I mean, even if they did, it still would have looked really bad, but it would have been more funny if they did. Back to Forge, the third theory was a subtle attempt to introduce a normalization of men's fashion being like this. I mean, hey, all the guys who do wear them, rock on, because I would never be brave enough to show off my legs like that. Which also is not sarcasm, I really do mean it. It's actually really cool, because I'm someone that I don't think is very confident in their body, and I don't even like wearing just a t-shirt, I always have to cover up. But I do really wish I was the type of guy that could just wear something that it was, I don't know how to put it, formal fitting. Because I always have to wear something that is baggy, and I really would like to be the type of guy who doesn't feel that way. But I am. But for all those who do dress like that, I say rock on, my guy. Because that's awesome. Now, out of all these, I think the most plausible is that is a mix of the first and second one. I do think it's intended to be a joke, but I also think it's intended to be a satire commentary about the sexualization of characters in comics, by having a male character now be the one in these poses. I don't think it's intended to be an actual, like, legit commentary, because if it was, I'm pretty sure they would bring it up in the actual comic. The X-Men comics were pretty open with that type of stuff. Or they would at least try to be. They would be censored a couple times. Of course, that's my own personal opinion, which I might be wrong about. I just find it funny that this is a part of both X-Men and Forge's history. I really like the character of Forge, and I hope that one day we'll see him in live action being a part of an X-Men movie, or an X-Factor movie, or an X-Force movie, or maybe even a Storm and Forge movie, or a Storm TV show, or just a Storm movie. With Forge being one of the few mutant characters left out of the original X-Men movies, which is very surprising to me. Because everyone and their cousin got to appear in those. Even if they were just cameos, they still appeared, but Forge never did. There's Forge, Sunfire, Madeline Pryor, Mr. Sinister, and a couple others who I think were really ignored by the X films who really deserve to be a part of them. And Polaris, but she was on the Gifted TV show, so I guess we're done right by her at least in live action. Even if it wasn't in a movie. However, I think all these characters really could appear in an X film and be great. So I do hope one day in a live action X-Men movie or some sort of X movie, we'll see these characters eventually appear, especially Forge. And, well, everybody, because I like a lot of X-Men characters, okay? Give me all of them in a single movie. It'd be crowded as frick. I almost said a different word there, but frick. But I would still watch it because I love the X-Men. Although that's another reason why I think the MCU should have multiple different X titles, like X-Men, X-Factor, X-Force, Storm, Wolverine, Deadpool. I mean, Deadpool's already existing. Dazzler. Because I think that the X-Men are a huge group with so many characters, and a lot of time when we put them all together, a lot of the characters unfortunately don't get the spotlight. That's why there's so many different X-Men teams, because there's so many characters that they can branch off into other teams, like X-Force, Generation X. A lot of whom I think should be greenlighted as potential movies. New Mutants. Oh, I didn't like that movie though. But we can make a better one. With less racism, please. Anyways, that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!